Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to episode 89 of Direwolf20's Let's Play series. I'm doing a couple things, don't mind me. So let's see, I'm tapping into this line that currently has 20 channels in use, going into the bottom of this controller. This is where I think I'm going to hook up my P2P connectors that I want to use. I'm running some cable real quick downstairs, but then we have to get into what I think I talked about last episode, which is going to be specifically very important. So let's see, we'll start this off with some smart and then switch over to regular cable. And I think I basically decided I want it to run down here-ish. So maybe even as a matter of fact, I could tunnel around back here. That's not terrible, but then we get caught into this thing. So maybe what we want to do, let's go one more back here. Yeah, so we need emeralds like nobody's business, and I know a really good way to get it. I'm trying to think if there's like a better way I can go about getting emeralds. You know, clearly there's a couple ways we could go with this, right? The old villager thing, but there's a couple other ways we might be able to approach it as well right now, so we might want to consider that. So this looks like a good way to go, so let's terminate it there, and then we'll just run our cables up here. This should be good. Run this guy right up here. And I know this isn't like the most elegant of cabling, but it'll do. I'm pretty much getting to the point where I'm starting to think about relocating the base, by the way, because I'm just getting way too cramped here. So we might need to investigate this at some point. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. For now, I think we're okay. I need this guy, and I also need a little bit of quartz fiber, so let's make sure we get some of that. Cool. So let's pop back up here. I'm going to have to cover this all up in a minute, but missed one. Cool. Let's make sure this guy's getting power from something. That'll do. So that's powering the line. Cool. Now we've got two channels there, right? So we can successfully saved settings. Nice. Falling. Successfully loaded settings. And then let's snag ourselves an interface. Start. Thinking about it, considering it, maybe. ME interface, considering crafting. We'll figure that out. There it goes. We'll pop this guy right about here, I'm thinking. And then, you know what, maybe since we're doing this, let's snag these guys. We'll put these smart cables on the end just to make sure everything's connected properly. Nope, smart cables on the end, please. And then let's get that P2P reloaded. Yeah, we'll put this guy right here. That sounds like a good one. And we will load those settings. And then we can smart cable this guy. Boom. So anything that goes in here should wind up in the network. Staff of Traveling, for example, should be available in my AE network, and that means everything's working properly. Sweet. All right, so that's connected. So now all we need to do is probably just start this thing up. So I'm going to remove this connection here, courtesy of the wrench. So let's allow this thing to run, shall we? Remember, we need lasers, but I just want to see this thing idle timer kick down, the work timer start going up, and then if we watch carefully, an item should float its way into the interface, and we should be in good shape. Very cool. There it goes. So we might have to teach our AE system how to deal with things because this comes up with stuff that we would normally get like coal blocks and lapis blocks and diamond blocks. So we might have to tell the AE system what to do with those. But that's something we can work on another time. For now, I say that I'm going to cover this whole mess up that I made. And we will be back in a minute once I decide exactly how I want to handle emeralds. Because that's going to be something we need to do. Alright guys, I've currently got some lasers cooking because I am making pulsating chipsets. Awesome. These will take a few minutes to make. They're a little expensive power-wise, but that's why I'm making a whole bunch all at once. Maybe I want to even do another bit of redstone and maybe even another bit of ender pearls. This way I'll just have a bunch of them ready to go and not have to wait for the slowness that is their crafting. Cool. So that's cooking up. The reason for that is I sat here thinking, like, I've done the emerald production many different ways in my Minecraft career. Typically, and probably the fastest, best, and easiest way to go about this is to go find a villager. Okay. Capture them in a safari net, drop them into an auto spawner, spawn a bunch of villagers, and then drop them into a Tinker's Construct smeltery. That's typically pretty fast. When you drop the villagers in there, they melt down the emeralds that they have on them, basically, and what you come up with is a bunch of liquid emeralds that can be converted into, you know, blocks that can then turn into emeralds. You'll get a lot of them that way. But I've kind of done that, I don't know, at least 2 or 3 times in a row now whenever I've been after emeralds, and kind of gets repetitive and boring after a while. I really don't want to do that if I don't have to this time. So I looked at NEI and I said to myself, what other way to get emeralds? Let's take a look. Well, we can go with the block method. There's really not much out there aside from what I think would probably be the fun way to go about it, is bees. So it's been a while since I've really worked with bees. If you watch my Forgecraft series, you'll see that I got a little bit and like just barely scratched the surface of a mod called Gendustry. This is a mod that really focuses to kind of bring bees up to date with the current mods and how they work. It's all based on RF power, so it really helps to speed up the process of bees, takes away some of the tedium, and makes them a little bit more interesting and fun, while at the same time dealing with power and stuff. It might be a little overpowered, but since you guys have seen bees probably a bit in the past, I thought maybe it would be a good idea to take a look at doing Gendustry, and we could have a lot of fun. And then the side effect of that is we would be able to get a bunch of emeralds for the processes that we want. And you know what? Maybe these can even help me to get some quartz and glowstone as well. So we don't even necessarily have to rely too much on the lasers down in the basement there. We'll still use them, obviously, because but I think they can work together with the bees, and then we'll have a really steady supply of that. And then we'll also be able to use the bees in the future. Once we have a good system set up and automated them a whole bunch, we should be able to come up with a good way to use them going forward for other things. And I really need to fix this. Like, really. But anyway, back to what I was talking about, which is bees. So let's see what we have by way of drones. So we definitely have a bunch of rocky drones and some princesses as well, I presume. Yeah, we've got some valiant. Those usually are found occasionally. Oh, good, we have a water princess. Nice. So we've got, you know, a decent amount of bees out there in our inventory, but we really don't have much. So we're going to have to go out into the world and find them. What I'm going to go ahead is get the Scooperator MX200 Turbo. Cool. This sounds like a pretty cool thing to get, so let's go ahead and snag a scoop. And we're obviously going to need a power module. Oh boy. We're going to need a bunch of these power modules for some of the things we need going forward, so maybe now is a good idea for me to go ahead and teach my AE system how to make this stuff. Does it know how to make pistons? It does. Good. So let's go ahead and do power module. Let's also see what kind of gears you know how to make. You know how to make pretty much just 10 gears. Okay, cool. So let's do power modules. I'm going to teach the AE system how to make these real quick. So we're going to want, not that one, the one that I can just do with straight up gears. Yeah, that'll work. Encode that pattern. How am I for glowstone at the moment? I know that was kind of the thing that I was looking to get. I think I've gone to the nether and just scooped up a few of them. So we'll let those blank things craft. Yeah, it should be cool. Sweet. Certus quartz crystals. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, we're getting low on them again. All right, let's get our power module. We're going to want to, I think that's pretty much everything. Cool. So I should be able to request some gears here. I'll put this down in the molecular assembler area. Oh, you don't know how to make bronze? Oh boy. Well, now you do. You can tell that I haven't done much with forestry, because forestry usually requires quite a bit of bronze. And yeah. So we'll get these guys cooked up. And then while we're at it, we'll also cook up a few pistons. 10 of them ought to do. So I will teach it the power module, and while I'm at it, I'll go ahead and just make one so that I have it on hand for the scoop I'm about to make. Hey, wrong thing. There you go. Ta-da! You notice it quickly filled up in my inventory, obviously, because I've got power. So let's go find some bees. Where are we going to find them? In beehives. Now, like I said, if you guys have seen me do bees in the past without Gendustry, you've probably seen that it can be a little bit slow to start off with, but Gendustry is really going to help speed up the early game of bees, and we will be able to quickly get to the emeralds. My goal for you guys, because I like to wrap up with a world download at episode 90, I usually like to have my world downloads be in a good, steady place. I would like, if I can, nice, Meadows Hive, that's cool. We just found our first beehive. Sweet. It's typically a good idea to search for these at night. What was I saying? Yes, I would like to get the emerald production going by the end of episode 90. So it shouldn't be too much effort, maybe 1.5 episodes worth, hopefully, to get to the point where I have emerald production going. And of course, I'll have to do some work off camera if that's necessary. That's fine with me, just to get it to the point where you guys have a good emerald producing bee system by the time I give you a world download. So let me fly around the world here. I will come back after I've found a couple more beehives and a few other cool things. So here's a good example of why it's good to hunt for these things at night. They kind of give off light. So I just got some forest bees. Awesome. I'm just going to get a couple more bees out in the world here, and then we'll circle back, and I'll show you what we can do with these. Oh, awesome. There's another meadows. Perfect. Yeah, the more bees you have to start off with, the better. You don't need a ton early on, but having a few will definitely be handy. And with Gendustry, you can make bees, which is cool. Alright guys, a big part of Gendustry is going to revolve around the industrial apiary, which I just taught my A system how to make everything for. You can see a bunch of stuff there. So let's request one, or two or three, and get this thing rolling. Let's say 3. That sounds like a good thing to start off with. Boom, industrial apiaries. Now these guys are cool. To go along with them, we're going to want a tesseract, and we're going to want some flux ducts. I think we've got the resonance, but let's get ourselves some more of the regular old redstone ones. That sounds cool. You can start cooking those up while I decide to figure out where I want to build a bee house. So I wouldn't mind having like a nice fancy looking bee house like I've tried to build in the past and usually failed. We've got a little bit more fun and luck this time maybe. So maybe right out here in the back of my house wouldn't be a terrible spot. Yeah, let me clear some terrain and we will come right back as soon as I figure out where I want to put things. Alright guys, so what I plan to do is start with the Gendustry build this episode right back here. Then what I'm going to do is between this episode and next, off camera, spend a little time just trying to figure out how I might want the bee house, let's call it, to look. And then I'll come up with hopefully something of a nice build, like a couple of the other nice builds that I've worked on, throughout the series. Nice in heavy air quotes because it's me and I don't do nice, but I'm gonna try. So let's get Gendustry going. Cool. So we'll pop down a couple industrial apiaries, and to go along with that is a tesseract, obviously. And by now, because a lot of time has passed, I was clearing out a bunch of stuff. We should have about 100 flux ducts in there. Sweet. Redstone energy flux ducts. I love auto crafting. The ability to just sit down and be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and auto craft. That is cool. So our industrial apiaries quickly filling up with power. Sweet. The other thing I might want to put out here something that I'm considering is having an AE subnetwork dedicated to bees. So maybe I'll set that up now real quick. We will get a controller. Let's get just one ME controller, should be plenty. And from here we'll get some cables, so let's get ourselves maybe a handful more of smart cables if I can. I know that requires glowstone, which we're oh so annoyingly low on. I have to go to the nether and get more, but at least for now we'll have a few. And let's get a disk drive. No, not that one. Drive. Cool. And I think I've actually, at some point or another, this system decided to like grow on its own and get a brain of its own and do crazy things. So I'm just going to steal some of these extra 4K drives. Something I did down there was not right because I've been crafting drives when I don't really need them, but that's okay. So real quick, miniature AE system, which we will, again, reorganize this room shortly. Let's, get some cables popping out here. So we'll pop this over here with this. Only using one channel. Hooray. One thing I should have snagged and didn't. Was a crafting terminal. Cool. Should be quick and easy, I would think. There we go. Excellent. I almost never have wood on hand. It's almost ridiculous. All right, let's get the crafting terminal. There we go. So we'll have a very basic AE system, but we're going to eventually connect it up with our main AE system so that we can access the items from our main AE network, but just, have them all exist out here. It'll be pretty cool, trust me. And then from here, we'll connect power. Lighten up. Hooray! And we can start putting bees in here, which we're going to go get right now. So this will be the main place that I keep all my bees and do all the cool stuff with them. So you guys are all with me. Perfect. Cool. So let's get some bees going. So we're going to take our Meadows Princess and our Meadows Drone, and we're going to go ahead and pop into our industrial apiary here, and you'll notice that there's a bunch of stuff. You can toggle whether this requires redstone to run, which is cool. We'll put our princess here and our drone here. Now, for those of you who've never worked with bees before, it's pretty simple and straightforward. What happens is you combine two bees, the drone and the princess, and what you'll get is a queen. Now, in order for this to run, there needs to be flowers nearby. So right now we're in an area, we're in a shrubland. That's considered an arid environment? Well, that doesn't sound cool. So we're going to have to fix that. We can fix that, luckily, with Gendustry. I thought this area was going to be, cohesive to bee development, but that's okay. So let's see. Gendustry should have a biome thing. Plains emulation upgrade. Cool. Let me craft some of these things. Alright, so I'm going to make the plains thing that I need. We are unfortunately going to need golden chipsets, so I just kicked those off. So far we have one of them crafted, so I can go ahead and use it. So bees are finicky about the weather. They don't like it to be too hot, too cold, too dry, too damp. Some of them have requirements for humid temperatures, others have requirements for dry temperatures. We'll be able to manage this a little better later on, but for now we can install a module into our industrial apiary that makes the bee a little bit happier with where it's living. Hooray, no error. Sweet. And you can see the little bee particles flying out of there mean it's happy. We should also put flowers nearby. It's usually a good idea. Bees like flowers. So we're going to just put a couple of these guys nearby. That should make them happy. And this guy is going to sit here and run. What he's going to do is, over time, he's going to produce honeycombs. And different species of bees can produce different types of honeycombs that can result in getting different types of items. So you can see right now we're about 5% done, or into the process. We've got 95% to go. This bee is just going to cruise along along and start producing stuff. Now he's going to be pretty slow to produce things early on, so we are going to want to go ahead and add in some upgrades to help him produce things a little bit faster. So let's take a look. All right, so we're now going to start throwing our rocky bees in here. Let's just see if they're happy. So far, no error. That's a good sign. Are you guys going to be cool with what we've got going on here? So far, you're all right. So rocky bees don't seem to mind it being dry here. So as I said, some bees are happy with the climate, some bees are not. Oh, it's nighttime. So some bees only like to run during the day, like these guys. Some bees don't mind, like those rocky bees. So let's sleep through the night real quick to help clear up that problem. Dun, 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 dun. And then our meadows bee should be back to working. Cool. Happy once again. Nice. And oh look, we already got our first rocky comb. Oh cool, we've got a honeycomb right there. Sweet. I'm going to throw water princesses in here and see how they feel. Now I'm going to go ahead and assume that because they're water bees, yeah, too dry for them. Temperature normal, humidity arid. So let's see if we can figure out what the water bee wants. Just as a test, I'm going to try and throw the planes in there. Oh, look, he's happy. Cool. So we're going to look at getting ourselves an analyzer for bees in a bit. But for now, we're going to hold off on this and, figure something else out. But yeah, we're definitely going to want to check this out shortly. Also, it should be noted that water bees, instead of needing flowers, prefer to have lily pads nearby. So different bees need different flower types as well. And I think the rocky bees like to have just stone nearby. So there's probably just some nearby and it's all right. So now that we've got these guys working, let's see what happens when we get to 100%. All right, guys, one of the things we're going to want to take a look at next is how to get better bees. So one of the things we've already gotten, I think, if I could find it here. There it is, the advanced Mutatron. So there's two machines from bees. If you've worked with them before, you know that if you combine two species of bees, you have a chance to get a better version of that bee. Well, don't worry, because Gendistry allows you to do it with a little bit more of a controlled manner. So typically, if you wanted to get a better bee, so for example, one of the bees you might want to look towards getting first is the common bee. And these are made by combining, inbreeding, forest and meadows. There's a bunch of other types of bees that you can breed together to get the common bee. As you can see here, there's many, there's 33 pages worth of different bees you can combine together, but typically the ones you'll start off with is forest and meadows. That'll get you the common bee. What you're going to need to do is just put the common, or the meadows queen, or princess, I mean, and the forest drone, or something like that. Combine them together, and then eventually what's going to happen is this bee is going to die off. We'll see it when the bee gets to 100% working state. But we're not going to worry about that. We are instead going to automate this in a slightly interesting way using the Mutatron. Now there's two tiers of this machine. There's the regular Mutatron and the advanced Mutatron. The advanced one is cool because it allows you to specifically select which bee breeding output you'll get. Sometimes when you breed two bees together, for example, if we breed common and cultivated bees together, you'll wind up with the possibility to get something a little bit different. So let's take a look here. Common and cultivated. You might get noble, you might get diligent. So what we can do, because we're using the advanced Mutatron, you get to choose which one you get. So those of you who have worked with bees before probably think that's pretty awesome, because it 100% is. Those of you who haven't worked with bees before, well, you'll get the hang of it in just a bit. So you guys might have noticed that there was a tank in the Mutatron. And what you need to do is pipe in a liquid called mutagen into there. Mutagen is going to be used to help mutate your bees. Cool. Is this guy dead yet? He is. So you'll notice that you'll always get one princess, and you can get anywhere from like 1 to 4 drones. In this case, we got 2 of them. So I'm going to take this princess. The forest guy's probably not, or the forest guys are actually in here, aren't they? Yeah. So we're going to start the breeding of these. I'll put the drones in here. So we've got the meadows princess and the forest drones. The only other thing we're going to need, and I should probably, if I can, teach the A system how to make this because it's a really simple one, but we're going to need a lot of them. This is the genetics labware. So let's do this. Let's get blank patterns and code. Sweet. We'll definitely need our power as well. And we'll put this in here. Now I can request labware times 60. That should give me a stack. Awesome. We're going to use this for quite a few things. So step 1, making mutagen. We'll put it over here, and we'll get our guy there. So he should be getting power. So large amounts of power is going to be required. You can see it has an internal buffer of 5 million RF. We place items in here and they can generate mutagen. There's a large number of items you can put in there. Redstone, glowstone, and uranium are some of the big ones, as well as yellorium. Yellorium is probably a cool one to go with. I wouldn't mind. Let's see. I think, let's try this. But I think yellorium is actually better than uranium, but we're going to test it. So mutagen producer, go. You'll see this thing processing. We can actually check, right? 1 uranium block will give you 4,500 millibuckets, but 1 yellorium gives you 1 millibucket. So 9 yellorium gives you 9 millibuckets. So you get twice as much from doing yellorium directly, as opposed to that IC2 block recipe that we just saw. So let's go ahead and let that happen. Now, I don't think it'll automatically dump the liquid into the adjacent one. Or will it? Oh yeah, it does. Look at that. How fancy. Cool. So we can let the yellorium sit in there. We can throw our labware in here, and then we can combine our Meadows Princess and our Forest Drone. You'll notice we have a couple different options. Well, that's interesting. Leoparine? I don't know what that is. I have no idea what bee that is. Some mod's adding it. Produces silky combs. Well, that's cool. And eggs? Ooh, I might want that bee eventually. But for now, we're not going to worry about it. Instead, we're going to choose to get the common queen. Boom. You'll notice it used up some labware, used up my bees, and used up some mutagen, but in the end, we get a common queen. Nice. So all we have to do is drop the queen in here, and we're going to want to sleep through the night. Now, what's going to definitely need to happen is that bee is going to have to die off before we can really do much with her. So we might want to speed up the process of letting the bees die off. And for that, we can choose to create the lifespan upgrade. Let's pop over here and see how good. We've got a lot of gold dudes here. I think we're going to need them. So let's see. Lifespan upgrade is going to be pretty cool. So the API upgrades for lifespan upgrade is going to reduce their life by 33%. So let's get a few of these. Okay, we're just going to need fermented spider eyes. I should be able to get that with sugar. Sweet. Okay, so now that we've got those guys ready, lifespan upgrade will be good to go. 1, 2, 3. I don't think they're going to stack in there, but I'll snag all 4. Let's see what happens. So you'll notice so far my bee is about 10% into it. So let's go ahead and drop the 4 in there. Each one of these should give me a decrease in life by 33%. So hopefully the next time this bee ticks over, she'll die right away. Sounds a little bit terrible, but sorry bees. I need you. Okay, look, that was quick. Cool. Just curious if that is better, right? So we gained about 30%. I want to see if there's a difference between doing it this way and that way. So we'll watch to see if this ticks over to another 30% or not. And if it doesn't, that's cool. 4, by the way, is the most you can have in there. So if it turns out that it's the same, or actually it should be a little bit less even than 30%, we'll know that the 4 stacks. Yeah, see, it only got 20%. So let's put these guys in here. 4 is the max you can have, I believe, installed in this machine to work. Cool. So that's pretty neat, right? Pretty awesome way to get yourself your bees that you want. So we'll come back in a moment here when we're ready to get the next bee type. All right, so let's talk about figuring out where we want to go. Best way to do this is look it up in NEI. You can find the breeding that you need to do by just looking at the Mutatron or the bee breeding tab. Either one works. You'll note, by the way, that lapis to noble bees, you only have a 5% chance of getting that. So if you did this the old-fashioned way, it would probably take a while. But that's how we get it. So we have to get lapis and noble bees. So noble bees I know how to get to. We'll get them pretty easily. Lapis comes from resilient and water drones. Hey, we've already got water drones, so that's awesome. Resilient princesses come from mutating. All right, imperial and robust. Oh boy, we have to get into the imperial stock. Pretty sure that's down the noble line. So we have to get nobles all the way up to imperial, which is the top of their branch. Don't mind me, guys. I'm just figuring this out. So resilient, robust comes from rocky and tolerant. And tolerant comes from rocky and diligent. Okay, we've already got rocky, so we just got to get... Okay, I know what we got to do. Oh, cool. We got some common bees. Nice. Probably a good idea to get a good number of these. So what I'm going to do is actually snag one of these. Can I get cultivated from rocky? That's a question that I have. So you can get them with common, rocky, and common. Nice. We'll get you cultivated. That is cool. So I'll take one of these rocky princesses. We'll throw it into our mutatron with a common drone, and this will get us a cultivated bee. Nice. Ta-da! And we'll take these guys out. We'll throw them into the AE system for now. Start this bee going. The common bee has finished. I'm going to let her run again. Now there's one more thing we can do to automate these bees. We can pipe items out and in, so we could automate the bees going in and out, but why do it with pipes when there's an automation upgrade that we can throw in there? Sweet. So we're going to snag a piston, or 3. Start that guy off. Grab the automation upgrades, and while we're at it, let's grab more lifespan upgrades. So I'm just going to need a bunch more fermented spider eyes. Do I really not have any more mushrooms? That is terrible. I know something else I'm going to want to get. But that's all right. We'll at least show the automation upgrades here. So what this will do is it'll take whatever princess is generated when the bee dies off, throw her back in this slot immediately, and it'll take one of the drones that's generated and throw them back in this slot immediately. Cool. In the meantime, let's start talking about what we can do. Okay, cool. You guys should be placed back in there as well. Nice. So we'll put the automation upgrades actually in all 3. You are not liking the environment. Cultivated queen. Right. We need another meadows, plains dude. This is probably why I should have tapped into my A system directly, but we'll get this hooked up in a bit. So, plains upgrade, not too bad. Sweet. This should make the cultivated bee happy again. Hooray! Alright guys, so we've got the basics of bee breeding going. We're going to get into some more in-depth and complicated stuff with bees shortly, probably next episode. But in the meantime, what I think I'll do is repeat a little bit of what I've been doing here for a while. So we'll let these bees go. I'll go into the nether, get myself a bit more glowstone, probably see if I can find myself some of the brown mushrooms just to tide me over. And then we'll come back next episode. We'll get some advanced bees, we'll get our emerald bees, we'll see how good of a job they do at producing emeralds for us, and hopefully it's a really good job. And if that's the case, we should be set for emeralds. And then we can cook off our stuff. Oh look, there's all the stuff that I'm going to want. I wonder, just out of curiosity, does the horn affect mushrooms? If it did, oh, awesome. Alright, so for now, Direwolf20, wrapping up the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We will be back next time. Take it easy.